Hey everybody, the Reswirl here, and welcome back to more Kingdom Come Deliverance. Okay, I have been busy. Very busy. You'll notice Henry is level 18. I'll just go to my stats, because I actually have a lot of perks that I want to get. I was mostly saving them, like not bothering to get any until I recorded. But that didn't work exactly. I mean, it did. But at the same time, I got some perks that I was like, I need these because it will make things a bit easier for the time being. So like, I got Mule, carry 15 pounds more, tight grip, stamina regeneration will not slow down in combat, even on the weapon back swing. So, Mule 2, carry 20 pounds more, so that's 35 pounds more. And then finally, 25 pounds more weight, which is 60 in total. And then I've still got 5 points to use, and I think there's 6 perks. There's Gravedigger, Cinchmaster, Boar. Oh, that's cool. Headcracker, Heavy Swing, and Dreadful. Heavy Swing. Oh! Only applies to weapons that require that. Well, I only have 5 points, so I might as well get these 5, because I don't care about Gravedigger. I'm not going to be picking up bodies. Right, we'll get Cinchmaster, so it gives you a 1/3 higher chance of overpowering your opponent in a... Oh, it's a clinch, not cinch. I did wonder, like, that was... I thought I was saying it wrong. Right, clinch, that's right. Alright, so we got Clinchmaster, the Boar. So, deplete an opponent's health and stamina by bumping into him at a sprint. The effect is increased if your armor is heavier than his. Headcracker, which is probably my most favourite perk, because you can hit somebody on the head with a mace and then they'll just ragdoll, because it knocks them out. It seems you already had a chance of knocking someone out with a blow to the head. But either way, we're gonna get Headcracker. Dreadful, I suppose. Hang on, how many perk points do I have? 2? I guess I'll get Dreadful and Heavy Swing. So your attacks cause 20% greater damage, but cost you 10% more stamina, applies only to weapons that require strength to wield. So that's like mace, axes, and longswords, I think. And Dreadful, foes will be more likely to flee from combat with you. The ones who do fight with you will be less determined. That's a nice one, so we scare a lot of people off. But this is going to be a very read or lore heavy session, because I'm doing my perks and then I'm sticking with the codex to read as much as I possibly can. And also, in terms of main level stuff, I think the only one I got was contemplative, or contemplative. And the reason I got that was so that I could wait in certain areas and my nourishment and energy would not go down. Because it says, as long as you remain still, your tiredness and hunger will stay at the same level. That perk is easily one of the best ones in the game. Because it basically defeats the purpose of... Well, not purpose. It means you don't have to worry about regularly eating and regularly sleeping. If you're always on the move, then yeah, you do. But aside from that, so good. As for these, I never know what I want to get. Probably just Scout. How many points do I have left? 6. 6, right? Savage, +1 bonus. Oh! Oh, wait. A +1 bonus to Strength, Agility, Vitality, and Speech. Oh, in towns. Oh, in the wilds. Right, I didn't even read that. So in the wilds you have a bonus, and in towns you have a bonus. I would rather get that, because you're in towns a whole lot more than you are in the wilds. So in towns and villages and their immediate vicinity, you have a +1 bonus to Strength, Agility, Vitality, and Speech. Very nice. As for this, Wanderers, the bed one. How many points do I have left? 5. Right, so I could get Scout 1. I think all these others are kind of a pain. Oh, that's actually quite a good one. Penalties on stats following release from jail 20% lower. Yeah, I don't like these because they give you a bonus to something and then drop other things, and I don't like that. Alright. So... Oh! Your momentary reading level increased by 3, but your strength and warfare skills have each incurred a -1 penalty. If your reputation is high in an area, you get a +1 bonus to strength, speech, agility, and vitality. At the same time, though, your reputation falls much faster than usual. And the penalties for jail time last longer. That's an awkward one. I'll go with first aid, for sure. Same with scout. I might just stick with scout and first aid. Scout 2. And then scout 3. Oh, and first aid 3. 3. Yeah, I just don't like the bonuses if it means taking away from others. That's something that I've always disliked. Right, so there's the main level stuff. Agility. These I didn't get any of. Lets you jump aside during combat. Falls will cause you 30% less damage. Wait, 1, 2, 3, Oh, there's only 5, so I can get everything, basically. Your attacks will demand 30% less stamina, but will also cause 20% less injury. Applies only to weapons that are based on agility. If you are not wearing plate armor, it will be 50% easier for you to dodge strikes in combat. You have a better chance at throwing winning dice, and a successful evasion during combat will lower your opponent's morale. Now these are the only things that are actually maxed out. I didn't get many combat skills maxed. I was quite surprised Vitality managed to get to full, and I also got Revenant, which your health gradually regenerates. Also useful if you are training with Bernard with the mace, because even with practice weapons, which is just a wooden bludgeon, that still has the chance of doing quite a bit of damage. Which is why I like the mace the most, because even if you're against an enemy that's in full plate armor, you can kick his ass by just targeting his head with a mace. It's great. Right, so we have 6 perks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. I'm not gonna go with Marathon Man or Sprinter then, which is run slower but keep it up for longer. Sprint speed is 20% slower but demands 20% less stamina. You run faster but also tire faster. Sprinting is 20% faster but costs more stamina. Right, so bleed slower, balanced. Okay. You bleed slower. Very nice. If you don't either overeat or go hungry for 5 consecutive days, you get a +1 bonus to vitality and agility. That's cool. The human dustbin is also a really good perk because it means you can eat anything regardless of if it's spoiled or not. So you can dispel hunger with anything. You won't suffer from eating poisoned or spoiled food, but neither will you have any positive effect from it. Does not apply to alcohol. Yeah, it doesn't bother me. And then we have Berserk. As soon as your health falls to a minimum, you go Berserk and your stamina regenerates 4 times faster. Blood Rush. After beating your first opponent, you get a 50% attack bonus and your stamina will regenerate 1/4 faster. That's cool. Last Gasp. You'll survive an otherwise fatal blow and your health will even regenerate by 20%. Only activated once in a combat. Okay. And yeah, there's my speech, which is still terrible. Yeah, oh well. But these are the levels for my actual combat stuff. Unarmed is at 20 because that was probably one of the best ways of getting your strength up. Because you're not worrying about hitting a shield, you're just constantly punching. So that gets your thing up pretty high. Pretty quickly as well. And there's no perks, so that's even a big bonus as well. As for these, we have defense. Wait, so there's one more skill? I'll be able to get all of these. We have perfect block, which is what we learnt from Bernard. Firm grip. Blocking an opponent's strikes with your shield will cost him 15% more stamina. And weapon cruncher. If you beat your opponent in a clinch, you'll damage his weapon 15% more. Damaged weapon will cause much less damage as well as its price being greatly reduced. Oh well. Oh, I've just realised. Bollocks. That's a good one. I don't know what I'd rather have. In sunny weather, the glint of your arm... I don't care about that. Your armor is 1/3 more frightening than usual. Oh no, I will be able to get them all. It's just I need to get my defense to level 20. I'm an idiot. You're able to put on your armor so cleverly that its real weight is 1/3 lighter than it actually weighs in the inventory. That's a good one. Hell yeah. Nice. I don't know how... I think it's just if you're wearing it, it weighs less. Right, more perks. We have Bailman, Faint... What's Bailman? Oh yeah, unhorsed people. So how many of these are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 of them. Which one do I not really care about? Greater chance of drawing enemy blood. I think I go with that. Like, the more damage your sword, the greater your chance at poisoning your opponent when you hit him. Even without poison applied to your weapon, if you do have poison on a damaged weapon, the chances of administering are increased by half. Yeah, I don't really care. You have a greater chance of drawing your opponent's blood. That's a good one. when an enemy's bleeding, I think they're more likely to give in. Furious. So the less your maximum stamina, the greater the injury you cause. That's also quite good. Sadist. So when you draw an opponent's blood, it gives you a +1 to strength. And then we have against all odds. Oh, wow. So change each... okay, yeah. You'll have a 20% greater strength, agility, warfare, and defense in a fight where you're outnumbered. That's cool. Right, and I'll get Chain Strike with the last level. As for Axe, these are just like different combos you can do. So it's like Blunt Strike, Dreavundar, Forearm, and Failer, Blinding Strike. So instead of a started strike from the right, strike unexpectedly at the opponent's face. Turn your weapon around his and strike him quickly with the blunt end. If you have a shield, use its edge for striking. Oh, cool. And the combos, how they work is you'll do RB, top left, RT, bottom right, RT, and then it should do the combo. And then there's the mace, which is going to be the same thing. Blunt strike again. Because the mace and the axe are very similar. As for the axe, this is where there's a lot of different ones. There's... how many? What is this? I need a longsword. Okay. Blunt strike, Zornert. Oh, dear me. Sorry for the repeated mute and unmute. It's because I thought I was going to sneeze, then it disappeared, then it came back. Alright, so we have Blunt Strike. Is that just Zornert? Zornort, Wrath Strike, Double Stab, Furler, Dreavundar, Wrist, Furler, Blinding Strike, and a lot of other ones. I'll actually get Blind Strike, Double Stab, Zornort. Oh wait, yeah, shit. After a flurry of quick thrusts, twist the point forward, guide the opponent's weapon sideways with the twin quick stabs, and strike the exposed chest. And then, with a rapid Zorn How from the Ox stance, parry the opponent's strike to the side from your left shoulder, and thrust the point straight to his chest. Now I'll just get this. By means of rapid attacks, put the opponent on the defensive, then feint a stab, but instead of carrying it through, execute a Mittelhau around the opponent's blade straight to the face. Oh wow. And these I haven't really upgraded apart from Herbalism, because it's super easy. All you have to do is go into a field and pick a bunch of flowers. And so I got resistance. Oh! You collected such a quantity of poisonous herbs and nettles that your vitality is permanently increased by 2. So is it actually at 22, or is it just at 20? That's cool, though. Yeah, because there's only 4 perks, usually. Is for this, if you've got enough fragrant herbs in your inventory, you get a +2 charisma bonus. If your horse has enough fragrant herbs in its saddlebag, it will shy less. Oh, that one's one I want. Botanist. Yeah, the herbs you sell have a 15% higher price. Flower power. Because I don't currently have a horse. Reputation. Oh no! My reputation in Rate is terrible. Although, to be fair, I've not done anything in Rate, so that's probably why. And then my stats. I should probably say as well, I have done a bit of, like, terrible stuff. Like, I've had a few crimes that I've not done, and I've gotten quite a few of the... oh god, what was it? I got quite a few treasure maps just from buying them from wayfarers on the road just north of Rate Mill, and then knocking them out and taking my coin back. But it didn't work every time, and so what happened was I ended up getting busted. Not by the guards. Like, the guy was trying to run away, so I ran after him, tackled him, knocked him the fuck out, looted everything he had, came to Rate Mill, and then just waited for 2 days. And then the crime went away. After committing a crime, you get a bonus to strength and vitality unless you're caught and leave the scene of the crime. You move almost silently in the rain, the noise of your footsteps is reduced by 70%. I can't even read. It's past 50. Right, there we go, we've read it, and we've done all of our perks. Hallelujah! And also, another thing, Miller Peshek has been sending debt collectors after me, so I'll deal with that as soon as I get a chance. I'll probably go and just do the executioner stuff, as opposed to paying him. It's 50 groschen, and I have $1,000, I think, but even still. Either way, I'm just getting rid of all these, because who cares, it's a tutorial, we kind of figure out how stuff goes. Okay. Boom. Wait, if I just go on my inventory, yeah, I've got £1,000. I thought as much, but yeah, it was probably these two, I think. So I've got 2 treasure maps, and I also got 2 lockpicks off one of them. Pretty nice, pretty nice. I don't think I have anything else that's stolen aside from weapons, so I can sell these and stuff. It's been fun, actually. It's been like 6 hours, but it has been fun. Either way, oh god, this is in a really awkward place. It don't matter, because I'm gonna just read all the way down. I've unlocked 58 of these. How? It might be better to go through general last, because that will take the longest. Either way, let us begin with locations. Gutenberg. Gutenberg is today a district town on the central Bohemian region, 70 kilometers east of Prague. The founding of Gutenberg, the official name of the city in the Middle Ages, came about thanks to the discovery of silver ore deposits in the vicinity and its location next to Skalitz Monastery. The commercial and economic center of the region, city rights were acquired by Gutenberg in 1318, after which time the economic activity of the city was taken care of by the so-called Urbera, or royal clerk. To keep the operation of the mint and the mines to a high standard and safe, a list of legal edicts was issued. Ius Regal Monitorum. The mining regulative. Okay. The city soon became rich and had the same powers as the old town of Prague. The wealthiest inhabitants of Gutenberg were the German population, while a lower class consisted of mine workers, smelters, mint workers, artisans, and servants. Almost every city dweller had some connection to silver mining, minting coinage, or trading. The treasures of found and mined silver supported the development of other Czech cities, including the construction of new buildings in Prague. The architecture of Gutenberg is due to Wenceslaus IV. During his reign, the former timber houses were rebuilt in brick or as half-timbered. There were also churches, a sterling core, and other public works built at that time. Gutenberg retains its Gothic genius loci to this day, or loci. Rataj on Sasau. So, Rataj was a small market town with 2 castles, the upper castle known simply as Rataj Castle, and the lower castle known as Perkstein or Perkenstein. The oldest written record of Rataj dates back to the 13th century when it was the property of Pribislav of Rataj, mentioned in records in 1263 and 1289. At about the same time, ownership of Rataj passed to Burgrave Hrosnata of Uzis, whose sons held several other castles and villages in the surrounding area. In 1293, King Wenceslaus II gave Rataj to Bishop Tobias of Bechin. I don't know how you say these things. Then it became the property of Burgrave Heinrich of Dauba. Okay. Who was the heir to the house of the Lords of Lipa. Rataj experienced its greatest renown and prosperity under the administration of Henry of Lipa, died 1329. His sons and grandchildren, his son John, died 1338, was the most politically active. The town was also governed by Henry's relatives, the lords of Perkstein, Jacek, and Hannes. Under their administration, the 2 castles were built, as were the churches, and the village was given strong fortifications. Perkstein. The lower castle in Rataj, founded by Henry of Lipa before the mid-14th century, first mentioned dates from 1346, spreads over an island in the middle of the Zivi stream. The castle is separated from the town by a moat. This is a Bergfried-type castle with a massive tower, rounded corners in the rear, and 3 rooms on each floor. The entire structure is surrounded by ramparts. In 1447, the castle unfortunately caught fire and then quickly changed owners. It suffered even greater damage during the peasant uprising in 1627. 100 years later, from 1713 to 1724, it was rebuilt by Octavian Kinsky into a Presbyterian bell tower. The upper castle. My goodness. The upper castle was built at the same time as the lower castle in the mid-14th century. It also burned in the same year as Perkstein, 1447. In the 16th century, it was rebuilt into a Renaissance chateau, and in 1672, renovated in the Baroque style. Today it houses the local town hall. St. Matthew's Church. The lower Rataj church was built in the 1360s at the instigation of Jan Jezek, I have no idea, of Perkstein and his wife Anna. The first church was probably a single nave design and served as a parish church along with the Church of St. Nicholas, which no longer existed. From 1675 to 1691, it was demolished and rebuilt in the Baroque style according to plans by Andrzej de Garde. It has survived in this form to the present day with just a few minor changes. The only remnants of the original church are the tombs of the estate owners. For example, a tombstone with the coat of arms of the Lords of Lippe mounted in the cemetery, into the cemetery wall, and the base of the baptismal font from 1421. St. Nicholas's Church, probably the oldest of the two churches within the castle walls. The first mentions dates from 1343. It was located in the upper part of Ratai before the upper walls and before the upper wall, and partially served as a presbytery. From 1336, the Cornic Mill also belonged to the Ratai presbytery. Cool. We have Rovna. The village of Rovna lies close to Silver Skalitz. Around 1150, a Romanesque church with a presbytery and cemetery were built there by monks from Sasau Monastery. The church was consecrated to the oldest patrons of miners, St. James the Greater. The Romanesque frescoes are its most notable decorative element, painted in two stages, in the mid-12th century and roughly 100 years later. Skalitz. There was probably a settlement in the area where Skalitz lies today as early as the 13th century, though there is no mention of the castle until 1361. The development of the town was prompted by silver mining in the area, as well as the existence of the nearby parish of Rovna. The owners of the castle included Jezek of Skalitz from 1384 and Bodal of Drahanis from 1402 to 1403. Wenceslaus IV took possession of it in 1403 and placed it under the governance of the knight Sir Radzig Kobyla. Later the very same year, though, Kobyla was forced to flee the castle to protect the inhabitants of Skalitz from King Sigismund's invading army, which torched the castle and the adjoining village. The estate was never renewed thereafter. In December of 1403, Wenceslaus IV granted the remains of the village to Jan Zokol of Lamberg. The ruin of the medieval castle and its fortification was scavenged for building materials for the Church of St. John of Nepomuk in 1730. Today, only minor remnants of the gatehouse wall, the Zwinger, and the perimeter walls remain. Whoa. I knew this game was, like, basing everything in it off of history. I had no idea it was like that, though. So, Skalitz Sasau district. The extent of the Kingdom Come Deliverance game world corresponds roughly to an area in southeastern Bohemia around Sasau River, in which many historical heritage sites are located. The most notable include Sasau Monastery and the castles in Bohemian Sternberg, Ratai, and Skalitz, of which only a few stones can be found today. Talmberg. This castle was built on a rocky promontory at the beginning of the 14th century, either by Ernst, I guess, of Kornitz or Hrosnata of Ujitz. For more than 200 years, the castle was the seat of the Lords of Ujitz, who were later renamed after their residents, the Lords of Talmberg. In 1390, the castle came into the possession of Divish of Talmberg. The same year, it was seized by Havel Medek of Waldeck, who took Divish prisoner. Medek did not release Divish until 1397, when he was forced to do so by a decision of the provincial court. Only a ruin now remains of the castle in the midst of residential development. And now we have there we go, all of these things. So on to the events. The abduction of Wenceslaus IV. Wenceslaus IV was a none too capable ruler, rather the opposite. During his reign, he was abducted several times in attempts to wrest power from him. The first time in 1394, he was taken captive in one of his residences in Barun, near Prague, and taken to Waldberg Castle in Austria. The abduction was engineered by opposing nobility, called the League of the Lords. In 1402, Wenceslaus was abducted for a second time by his half-brother Sigismund of Luxembourg, King of Hungary, who aspired to the Bohemian throne with the support of the high nobility, and incarcerated in Vienna, from where he managed to flee with the help of the loyal nobles in November 1403. Sigismund had in the meantime brought in higher taxes on towns and monasteries. Any towns that refused to submit, he conquered and ransacked. The conflict grew into a protracted civil war, which did not abate even after the death of Wenceslaus. The Battle of Nicopolis. I only know about Nicopolis because Sir Istvan mentioned it. He was on about Sir Radzig's sword. He's like, if I had the like back in Nicopolis, things would have played out differently. The Battle of Nicopolis took place on the 25th of September 1396, between the Hungarian King Sigismund and the Turks, led by Sultan Bayezid. Sigismund's army was made up of soldiers from France, Burgundy, Germany, England, Italy, Bohemia, Poland, and other countries. In all, it was 10 to 15,000 strong. The Ottomans, who was at the end of the 14th century controlled the entirety of the Balkans, numbered almost 20,000. The experienced Turkish combatants routed the Christian knights completely, largely because the Russian and French knights disobeyed orders, attacked the Turkish vanguard under the misconception that it was the main force, and were subsequently crushed. Those who didn't die on the battlefield were brutally put to death, reportedly up to 3,000 men. The wealthiest were taken prisoner and saved only by paying a ransom, which they paid over decades. When news of the defeat reached Paris, no one believed it, and those who had initially spread the news were put to death by drowning for spreading malicious lies. The Ottoman victory was a triumph of Islam over Christendom. Christendom? Okay. The Turkish army represented a real threat to European countries, especially Hungary. The conquest of Kuttenberg. In December 1402. In December 1402, during Wenceslaus's imprisonment in Vienna, Sigismund attacked Kuttenberg, and by the beginning of the following year seized and ransacked the town. Kuttenberg was loyal to the king and staunchly defended by its miners. When they finally surrendered, they were forced marched to Sigismund's encampment near Kolin, then made to kneel before him in the mud in subjugation. In addition, they had to pay huge sums of money in reparation, even though the town and its environs had been pillaged by Hungarian soldiers. The treasury in Kuttenberg held not only coins, but also precious jewels, gold, and silver. Wenceslaus later estimated the wealth seized by Sigismund to be worth 1 million in gold ducats of the day. Damn. The golden age of Charles IV. When the young son of John of Luxembourg, Charles inherited the title of Moravian Margrave and subsequently the Czech throne, he embarked on not only economic but also cultural development of his kingdom, a period dubbed the Golden Era. In 1348, Charles founded one of the oldest universities in Europe. Many cities, towns and castles acquired new fortifications and new bridges. Infrastructure and churches were built. To strengthen his position in Europe, he made good use of political marriages, thus allying his family with prominent families in neighboring countries. He even had influence over the appointment of ecclesiastical dignitaries. Thanks to firm rule and a policy based on the alliance, he was able to keep the peace in Europe. Charles was an educated monarch, interested in the arts, which was reflected in the architecture of cities, especially Prague, where, under his rule, many new houses, churches, including St. Vitus's Cathedral, and the city walls sprang up. Oops. The sacking of Skalitz. Ooh. Okay. Little is known about the war in 1402 to 1403, when Sigismund invaded Bohemia and tried to seize power, and the records that do exist are fairly vague. However, we do know the fate of Skalitz, Silver Skalitz, which was burned to the ground on 23rd of March 1403. We know the exact date because a document was preserved that Sigismund signed that day in the siege camp. Sigismund undoubtedly chose Skalitz because silver was mined here and the town was administered by the royal hetman Radzig Kobyla, a supporter of the king. Sigismund apparently wanted to disrupt the flow of money going to Wenceslaus. Oh. According to legend, Kobyla and his people who were hiding from the attackers in the castle were able to escape because of a great storm that blew up and forced the besieging army to wait until morning to take the castle. The castle defenders took advantage of the opportunity and under the cover of darkness fled to nearby Ratai. In the morning, the only thing Sigismund's men found in the empty castle was a goat. This is also in the game. Really? Sigismund then razed the town and the castle to the ground, and the castle was never rebuilt. Today, only the foundations remain. Damn. Of course they razed the city to the ground. He would have been pissed. Because they're like, yeah, we got them backed into a corner, and they slip away that easily? But as Radzig said in the cutscene, it's just lucky that that tempest broke out. Alright, the Western Schism. The Papal Schism, or Western Schism, was a rift in the Catholic Church in the Middle Ages, during which there were two papacies existing simultaneously, one in Rome and the other in Avignon, France.